I'm not like a full plotter. Neither am I like a pantser. So I just don't sit down and write what I think. I'm somewhere in the middle. Hi, my name is Maithree Wijesekara, and I'm the author of The Prince Without Sorrow. It's the first book in the Obsidian Throne trilogy series. It'll be published by Harper Voyager, and it'll be out in Australia on April 2nd. My book is a adult fantasy series. It follows two protagonists, one of whom is named Prince Ashoka. He is considered a bit of an outcast by his father, the emperor, for his opposition of the annihilation of the Mayakari, or the witches of the empire. And it also follows Shakti, who is a Mayakari or a witch, who, after witnessing the murder of her aunt and the destruction of her village at the hands of the emperor, vows retribution, but she is bound by a pacifist code. She does cast that aside. So, in an act of revenge, she casts a curse with consequences that leave both her and Ashoka grappling for power. And both of them must decide, what they want to do with it, to take it for themselves or risk losing it completely. I was inspired by a couple of things. The main inspiration was the historical Emperor Ashoka of the Mauryan dynasty of ancient India. So he's a notable figure in Buddhist history, most known for going from a very cruel, bloodthirsty king and renouncing it in the name of nonviolence pacifism. And that arc of his has always fascinated me. And I was just, during COVID lockdown, I was still in uni. I had nothing to do except Zoom like webinars and everything, and got bored and started to pick up writing, which used to be a hobby back in high school. And I was just thinking about him that day for some inexplicable reason, and just wondered, oh, what would it be like if the arc was reversed? So your good to sort of bad scenario, which was how Ashoka wandered in. So same name, reversed arc, but it's a very loose inspiration from its original source. And the second thing that I sort of drew inspiration from were the Studio Ghibli films, especially Princess Mononoke. It's a beautiful film. It's very eerie, haunting, mesmerizing, and it deals with humanity's relationship with nature. It's a very bloody but meditative piece of the relationship that we as humans have with the natural world. I do highly recommend it for anyone interested, but the book has nature spirits in it as well. So that's sort of where I drew that inspiration from. My target audience would mainly be fantasy readers who are, probably looking for something outside of potentially, Western sort of storytelling. This does deal with more South Asian history. Um, yeah, anyone who loves witches, princes, family feuds, I'd say you're a pretty good fit for this book. This is indeed my first book. I have never stepped foot into the publishing industry before, so it's a novelty. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where it takes me. I do dentistry part time. I am a dentist. Yeah, so pulling teeth, cleaning teeth, filling teeth most of the time. So I usually have to balance that with the writing. I found it kind of difficult to go full-time dentistry, then come back home after a very tiring day and then muster up enough creative energy to write. So I made the decision early on to just do part-time work. So part-time dental, and then the rest of the free days I dedicate to writing. I think that's a very good balance for me. My writing routine can be a little bit disjointed. In terms of how I outline a book, I think like I'm not like a full plotter. Neither am I like a pantser. So I just don't sit down and write what I think. I'm somewhere in the middle. I usually like to write an outline or like a skeleton, and I don't like to detail chapter by chapter. I feel that's a bit restrictive for me. So once I have like a vague outline, I then sort of let my imagination run wild around it. So like create the tissues, the muscle, nerve. In terms of like the exact writing routine, I am not a night owl, so I prefer morning hours. And the Pomodoro timer is my best friend. The 25 minutes of full focus and then 5 minutes break, I find that helps me be a lot more productive. What was the first bookshop that sparked your love of books and bookshops? You chose a hard question, actually. I can't remember it because I grew up in Sri Lanka when I up till I was 6, and my grandma used to like bring me books from a specific bookstore that I can't really remember the name of. But from here, I do believe the first sort of bookstore I went to was the Dimmicks bookstore, and I think the first book I bought there was probably the Percy Jackson books. I love them, related to him as another 12-year-old. So, yeah. I think for me, the role of a writer is just to be able to show an idea, show your worldview. Of course, it can be interpreted differently by the reader, but I don't particularly subscribe to a here's what you should do, this is what the world is like. It's more so here's what I think the world is. Take what you want from this idea and make up your own minds about it. In the sense that in the book itself, Ashoka has to grapple with choosing between violence and non-violence. I don't particularly tell the reader this is the correct way, this is the correct thing he should choose. I simply present the path he's chosen, and the reader can then make up their mind as to if he's done the correct thing or not. I love to read between genres. While I write, I love fantasy, but when I'm writing fantasy, I don't like to read it. I prefer literary fiction. So one of my favorite books that I've read recently is The Seven Moons of Mali Almeida by Shehan Karunatilaka. I also love The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. Oh, that screwed with my head for a while, but a brilliant book. Um, I also do like to read manga as well. That's just the weeb in me. But my favorite, my favorite one I like to reread over and over is the Full Metal Alchemist series. The first author that started me on my reading journey, I remember very well, it's Enid Blyton. So the famous five books. Yeah. I very heavily related to George in the book series because she had short curly hair and she had a dog, and that was enough for me. So yeah, I used to like voraciously read them whenever my parents asked me what I wanted. I just said, "Can I get the next book in the famous five series?" So that definitely started my love of reading. What's next in terms of writing for me is I'm currently editing book two of the Obsidian Throne trilogy. I'm also drafting the third. In terms of other ideas, I've been tinkering with old ones just to send to my agent to see what she likes. And one involves a very infamous Sri Lankan queen who poisons her way through six different lovers to get to the throne. I do love my lesser known historical figures. I think that's so far been a common thread in my fantasy writing. No worries. It was a pleasure to be here.